In the master class on Industry 4.0 technologies, today we are going to see about robotic process automation for production system. Myself, Prakash, I'm working as a project manager in RPA projects in Max by Technologies. So I have worked in various RPA projects across several production and manufacturing industries. Let's start about this RPA. I think we will skip this mighty part. Yeah. So what is RPA? So the robotic process automation (RPA) allows organization to automate tasks just like human. They are doing what the across various applications and various systems. So RPA can use it to automate workflow, infrastructure, or back office process, which manual labor will take a repetitive and time-consuming task. So these software bots interact with the integrated applications within the organizations and website and user portals like that, etc. So robotic process automation, if you think of a RPA, it is a straightforward tool to automate a repeated task, manual task to automate. There will be a set of rules for a specific kind of problems. So in case of here the rules is like what is the process flow. So to achieve that process flow, what is the rules that we are going to given to generate that process flow. So these RPA software bots are plug-in kind of systems. It can be easily integrated any existing business systems like ERP, SAP. So all these kind of existing business systems. So these workflow based interactions can also be enabled. So many of the thought RPA will be like a human robot. No, it is not. So that you can see that RPA, robotic process automation, is not a human robot, and it will not the tool that can replace the human in the workplace. So it is not entirely tool to replace the human task. So it is as I mentioned earlier, it is to automate the repetitive manual task. And when you think of a cost cutting, so it is not purely the way to think of a cost cutting when you consider a small number of repetitive tasks. So those ROI calculations for RPA will be effective when you involve more number of bots in the RPA and higher number of repetitive tasks. So that's based on the particular organization goal. So and also it is not the tool that replace the human cognitive functions. Certainly RPA will not replace the human cognitive functions. So here some more information about the RPA. So it is a simple computer coded software. So where we can program to replace the repeated human task across the cross-functional and cross-application macros. Here I mentioned few examples what the RPA application can do, like opening an email and attachments, and logging into some web or enterprise applications, moving files or folder from various servers inside or outside the organization, copy and pasting these files, and filling forms for if you consider some repetitive forms needs to be filled, and reading and writing in database on a quick succession or a timely succession manner, and data scraping from the web page, connecting the system with the APIs, making calculations which are repetitive, and extracting structured data from documents. And if you want to get some social media statistics, and if there are any thing that follows if or then rules. So these decision making rules we can enable through RPA. So here I provided some example for RPA. So here the example will manage how the RPA can be integrated with the human workforce. For example, a sales manager started a task. So he created the task in the several tasks in a queue. So once he created the task, instead of employee doing this, a robot can doing this task which are in the queue. So it will collect different customer database data from the database or CRM systems. It can verify from the existing proposals and check for the duplicates. So once it's checked, maybe the RPA process itself can reconfirm this, recheck this, or the employee can check the generated results. Once the results are okay with the employee, once he gives the acceptance, RPA bot itself can create a quote, make an offer, or it can place the order, or if the order is already placed, if the duplicate orders are there, it can cancel the order. In case there is no expectation in this, we can enter the task. If there are expectations are there, if the human interventions are there, some rules or some decisions to be made based on this offer or based on this order, so the human intervention we can provide, so employee can take control of this process and he can proceed or end this particular task. So this is just some simple example of RPA where the RPA bot can be integrated with the human workforce task. If the process, the workflow consider of 5 or 6 process, 3 process can be done by the manual staff and 3 can be done by the RPA robot. So this is the simple example. So another that main difference here I want to mention is that what is the difference between RPA and test automation tools. So yes, you are aware there are several test automation tools are available for software application testing. So these how the RPA will differentiate from the test automation. So these test automation tools are specifically made to testing the applications. So there are set of test tool acquisitions are there. So they will testing the application based on the rules given. But in RPA, first the user or the developer need to analyze the business process flow. After analysis the process flow, he will do the development in the RPA application. So once the application is developed, the testing will be done. So after testing and the deployment and maintenance of the application, RPA application will be completed. So yeah. So these are all the some parameter wise differentiation between test automation and RPA. So the test automation main goal for test automation is to reduce test execution time through automation. But in RPA, we are going to minimize human intervention for repetitive task. So for test automation, the task is to be automate the repetitive test cases. But here we are going to automate the repetitive business process. For test automation, like if you are considering Selenium kind of tool, there will be a coding knowledge required to create a test script. But here in most of the RPA tools are like wizard driven. So there will be a pick and place drop icons are there, like workflow we can create. So the coding knowledge is not required to develop the RPA process. So here in test automation, the support for software support is limited. So if you are Selenium is a famous web testing tool, it support only a web applications, but RPA software will support all kind of ERP and CRM, all kind of inter organization and all kind of tools. Yeah. So for here the test cases are automated, but in RPA, here some example like data entry, forms, error processing, any business process can be automated. So the application for testing, they will first initially deploy it on the QA production and performance environment, but RPA, it can directly, we can run in the production environments. So test case automation can automate only the product. If you are going with versus a service based like RPA, for each test case and test script will be a huge task for test automation. But in RPA, we can automate product as well as service. So here, yes, the coding knowledge all are required. The users will be for test automation will be limited, but in RPA, it can be used across all the stakeholders, even the stakeholders all can use this RPA application. So these are all the some difference between what test automation applications and the RPA. So here I mentioned some of the RPA use cases. So in finance, if you consider some accounts or statements need to be open and closing the account periods. So if you consider if the account is need to be open on the 1st of the month and needs to be closed on the 30 or 31st of the last date of the month. So if it will be a weekend or holiday, if it has a user dependency, then it is not possible. And also consider no value added, some non-value added task like sending mass notification. So these kind of challenges can be resolved using RPA. So by using an unattended robo, it creates exactly at the time when we schedule. If we schedule on the first month, it like 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. like or 7 a.m. So it's based on the scheduling time you want. So from that, it will create that and maintaining that accounting period. So all those business or finance related tasks, it will do from the date until the last. In case of it's 31st, it is Saturday, Sunday holiday. So it's not about the date. So it's about the schedule that we user wanted. So sending notifications. So all those things we can schedule on this RPA. So next I will go to the some use cases in the manufacturing sector. So where we implemented some SAP data extraction and reporting and reconciliation. So initially the manual data extraction from the running getting SAP reports and cleaning the data and presenting it to the very user friendly way. It will be a tedious task and it is a repetitive task, and customer needs to be allocate one person just to extract data and prepare that data from the Excel and make it in a presentable way. So there is a user dependency in case. So these can be avoided using RPA. So if you select a RPA with the unattended robot at a scheduling interval, it will automatically download the SAP data at the scheduled interval. Maybe you can consider 2 hours once you want to extract the data from SAP and you want to clean the data and update in the dashboards in the various applications like Power BI, all those things. So this can be done with the RPA with every 2 hours. Maybe some data we want 2 days once a week. So with use of one single unattended robot, so we can do all these repetitive tasks with a timely manner. So what's based on the user organization needs. So once the reports is generated, we need to send a notification to user. So what is the efficiency on the how accurately and how time managing. So if you want to get the data on the timely manner, so this RPA will help the user in the manufacturing sector. So not only manufacturing data, so here I mentioned some example for purchase requisition status. So in case an end user is not getting a notification about purchase requisition for either his purchase requisition is approved, PO already is used, or invoice is raised or not, is it in a pending state. So if he is not getting the updates on the frequent update on this, so we can all automate this all these process through RPA robot. So each time in the manual process, the customer or the staff needs to be log in the SAP, navigate to the screen so to get the status. So he needs to go to the get the particular purchase requisition number. After he will get the update on so what is the status of that particular PR. So in RPA we can avoid all these time consuming process, and also consider like one PR sales guy or purchase guy working on that. So if you want to replace or if you want to add on more resources, so consider the cost for training and also the time taken for learning curve for the new stuff. So all these tasks or process can be avoided through RPA. So here another example for sales order updates. So in case of sales order in a multiple bill plans, so the one person needs to be enter all those bill plans in the sales order line items. So it will be a very time consuming process. So using unentered bot from the Excel, we can directly update these sales order line items automatically. So in case of if there will be any errors that happens, so the bots all will automatically notify to complete this error, or if there is any pending transaction, so that process workflow also the user can set the rules to get in case of number of transactions are exceeded. So these number of transactions are still in pending. That means if you need to get a notification, so that notification also you can enable through RPA to get the timely and make the process smooth. So next one is how the RPA implementation will be. So first to implement the RPA, so first the organization needs to project preparation. So how will be the project preparation and along with the vision. So what is the final vision of this RPA implementation? So once the final vision and the project preparations are done, after the project process discovery, whether currently we are following any standard process and is there any changes in the process are needed. So these will enable the organization to ensure whether they are following a correct process or not. So once the process are discovered, so after that the execution of bots, the process flow in the RPA application and training the bots and scheduling the intervals of the unattended bots, those execution in the software levels will carry out. Once this execution in the RPA software is completed, after that they will analyze the ROI of that RPA process. So ROI, as I already mentioned, so once the organization is implementing the RPA, so the ROI is based on the how many unattended bots and how many number of tasks that you are going to make automate. So if you are while implementing RPA implementation methodology, if you want to calculate ROI, so you have to be clear with your future vision. Not on if I need only automate 5 of the process, so I need only one unattended robot, but I need a ROI with very short term. So these kind of visions will not work in the RPA. So the organization and the users will need a clear future vision. So how many number of process can be automated. So what is the number of unattended bots required? So what will be the ROI for the time period? So those kind of analysis needs to be done. So once all this done, so we can improve once the few at initial we can implement few process in the RPA. So step by step we can improve the process and we can standardize the process as well. So this is how we can implement the RPA methodology. So here, that's how here I have shown in the 4 stages. So first stages will be the preparation before vendor selection. So before vendor selection, what we need to do, we need to decide and we need to have a clear vision on the RPA and what are all the departments aligning to this process. So we have to clearly educate them how the RPA and these technologies will help them and achieve the financial and as well as we can avoid human errors. So this is the process and we have to create a clear objective and vision before selecting the vendor. So the second process will be initial implementation. So after that, the people needs to be select the right RPA tool and RPA vendors and consultants, and they need to be a clear metrics for POC. So for POC, what is the clear metrics for this RPA? So who are all the correct vendors? Who are all the correct consultants? What are all the data we need to collect? So what are the some application integrations? What is the standard way of business workflow for this integration. So those POCs will help to identify what are all the business process, whether we have the standard business process, whether we have integration facility within several applications inside or outside organization. So these whether we are following best practices and we are following best governance, all those things we can monitor in the POC. So after POC is completed, successfully completed, so we need to the third stage will be initial review, the POC review, and the plan for expansion into the full rollout of RPA. So what is the performance review of this POC? Is there any limitation in the solution, and how we are going to expand the RPA POC project? So this is the third stage. So the final stage will be so implement the full process. So with the various application and with integrating various applications, how we are going to improve the employee trainings or automate the process based on the existing RPA result. So these are the four stages of RPA implementation approach. So some best practice to implement RPA implementation. So first, the user should consider what is the business impact before opting a RPA process. So those cost and business impacts needs to be considered. And we have to, as I already mentioned, we have to define and focus on the desired ROI for the RPA. And after that, the focus on the targeting larger groups and automating large and impactful process. So as I mentioned, that ROI based on the how large you are targeting the larger groups and automating large number of process, then based on the ROI you can achieve. So another one, this is combined attended and unattended RPA. So earlier I explained a sales executive task for some example. So that is a example for combined attended. It can be done by, if consider 6 tasks, 3 tasks can be done by a user and 3 tasks can be done by a robot. And unattended RPA means all the 6 tasks can be done by the robot. So this is based on the business workflow and the organization need. And there will be on consider if you are these process flows are poor in design, if there is several change management, and it will definitely affect the RPA ROI. And also we need to consider the impact on the people to after implementing the RPA solution. So these are all the general use of RPA. So automate the reports, to reduce the gap between the systems, to ensure the quality assurance, cross-check the informations that already gathered or exported, migration of data from one server to another server within or outside organization, forecast revenue data, virtual system integrations. So these are all the general use of RPA. So the applications of RPA, so the RPA applications can be used in the financial service, banking, healthcare, telecommunication, retail, manufacturing, hospitality. So wherever there are several manual repetitive tasks, we can implement the RPA. So how to select right RPA tool? So there are 4 main parameters we need to consider before selecting RPA tool. There are several RPA tools available in the market currently, so I will come into that later stage. So the parameters to consider, the first one will be data. So how easy for reading and writing business data in multiple systems for that particular RPA tool. The second one will be the type of what are the type of tasks mainly performed, whether it is easy to configure, whether these tasks are rules or knowledge based process. So these we need to consider. Next one, the interoperability. Tools should work across multiple applications. So Major of the RPA tools will support most of the application. It will be working all the ERP, CRM, all the applications. And also we need to check whether the built-in AI support is available for that RPA tool to mimic the human users. So these are the 4 parameters we need to consider while selecting the RPA tools. So here I presented some of the top RPA tools currently in the market. You can hear of that UiPath, Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, Pega, Context Profile. So these are all the top RPA tools currently available in the market. So finally, the benefit for RPA to integrate with the minimal risk. So these bots can be integrated with any kind of systems, whether it is old legacy systems or new systems. So there is no integration like API support required. So these kind of tasks can be avoided. So it can increase the operational speed, and these RPA bots can done the task with consistency and with very efficiency manner, and it will help us to minimize the human errors. So once there will be a number of tasks and a number of process to be automated, it will help the business users to automate with a single bot to grow the business. And it also engaged with attended and unattended. So the employee can engage with the software. Employee also can benefit. They also reduce some of their costs with the RPA tool. So the employee engagement also improved very much with the help of RPA.